We are back on the road. Yay! We had a really good month in the outer Seattle area visiting with my brother and his family. Probably got a little too used to some of the... Listen, there are pros and cons to living on the road versus living in a traditional home, and the obvious pros are you have a dishwasher, you have a washer and dryer for your clothes.
Showers every day.
Yeah, daily showers.
Twice a day if you want them.
So, you know, it's gonna be hard to reacclimate, but we're also, I think that living in a home for the past month, I felt like it made me lazy.
I agree.
Yeah, right?
It was too easy just to hang out and watch TV and just do nothing, kind of, and
right.
become a homebody and not get outside again.
Right, exactly. We fell back into that routine really quickly. We didn't do nearly as much exploring the past month as we normally would have in that same amount of time being on the road. Now, there are a couple of different factors, I think, that played into that. Number one, we had a long list of things that we wanted to get done while we were there, and so our focus was on that. Also, we have been to the Seattle area and done all of the touristy things.
Not that long ago,
yeah,
really.
Within the past 5 years. So when we were here now, our focus was more on visiting with our family and getting the projects done we needed to get done. And that's what we did. So we are excited to be back on the road again.
It's weird how much you miss your own space and
right.
being able to do your own thing. I don't know.
It is.
It's a weird feeling, for sure.
It is odd, and does feel good to, like he said, be back in our own space. Even though we had our own bedroom and, you know, everying we needed was right there, and we had a really great time, it feels like we're home again. So we're headed down to Oregon. We're contending, unfortunately, with a lot of fires in the Northwest this year. I mean, you've seen it on the news. California, unfortunately, Glacier National Park is on fire. Parts of British Columbia.
Parts of Washington were on fire. We got smoke in Seattle when we were there. Yeah,
they're fires everywhere right now. And so that's kind of screwing up visibility, and we're trying to do our best to not go places like, for instance, we'd love to see Crater Lake in southern Oregon, but we were told that visibility has been awful there and that you can barely see the lake, and if that's the case, we're gonna have to make some decisions and possibly miss some things. But we've got about 3 weeks to get to Salt Lake City, Utah, which is on the northern portion of Utah, where I'm meeting some friends of mine from back home. So we're trying to figure out where we're going between here and there, and the Oregon coast is definitely on the list. So we're just headed out now, and we'll see where we land.
So we made it to Oregon. We are in the Fort Stevens State Park right outside of Astoria, Oregon.
It was a nightmare trying to find a campground. We sort of figured that because summer's coming to an end and kids are starting to go back to school, we'd be in good shape. We wouldn't have a problem, but we were wrong.
It turns out that this is the opening week of fishing season here on the Oregon coast, and people from Oregon take their fishing seriously, evidently, because the campground is full of fishermen, boats and trailers and fishermen.
Absolutely, fishermen are out in full force. So we were finally able to snag a spot thanks to Wandering Labs again.
We've mentioned them, I think, quite a few times now, and again, they've saved us. It's a great website, so if you guys haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, it helps get you into any parks that Reserve America books that are full.
Which is most state parks, most national parks, things like that. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's not wanderinglabs.com, it's a funny URL, but if you just Google Wandering Labs, you'll find it, and it's a lifesaver. So yeah, we made it to Oregon. This state park we are in is on the northwest corner of Oregon. And we wanted to visit this area for a few reasons. Number one, I thought that it was pretty cool and kind of symbolic, if you will, to actually make it to the Pacific coast.
Yep, we've gone coast to coast now.
Yep, we've officially made it all the way across the country, which is kind of cool. I mean, we've both been to the Pacific coast before, but I don't think we've ever driven all the way there. So that was kind of a milestone.
Definitely not
for
with
us.
our home.
Right. Also, we're right outside of Astoria, which is home to one of my favorite childhood movies, The Goonies, was filmed here. Yep. So, pretty stoked about that. And then finally,
this is where, or this area is where Lewis and Clark ended their expedition, which is kind of cool. You know, all the way across America, we've been coming across the Lewis and Clark Trail, and yeah,
we haven't really talked about it much in any of our videos, but it's been super present in our travels, and
it's a very cool story. You know, if you're not familiar with it, they basically discovered the route across to the Pacific.
Yeah, so that's why we chose this area. We are dealing with a lot of smoke haze from the fires. We're surrounded north, south, and east by fires, and they're, you know, it's a terrible year for fires, and they're doing a lot of damage. It's really sad.
It looks like it's overcast, but it's actually smoke that's blocking the sun and making it look cloudy, but today, actually, the sun's peeking out a little bit. You can barely see it behind us there, but it's much nicer than it's been the last couple of days, so we're looking forward to that. And let's go see what we can find.
Well, we came over to the Washington side today. We're at Cape Disappointment. It is gorgeous here.
It is. Cape Disappointment State Park.
Yep, we've made it to the Pacific Ocean. Pretty cool. And it's beautiful. You know, we're from a beach state, so beaches are nothing new to us, but
this is totally different. Totally different kind of beauty than what we have back home. Hiking a trail to the lighthouse and just happened upon a beach. We're also here today with a friend of ours that we met him at a laundromat in Wyoming. Okay, we talked to him for like 10 or 15 minutes at the laundromat, and we connected on social media, and he saw on our Instagram page that we were in this area and said, hey, we should catch up. And so he's from this area, or around this area anyway, and said, hey, you know, I'd like to meet you guys again. And so he's here and he's showing us the sights because he's very familiar with this area.
Yeah, it's always awesome to have a tour guide that's familiar with the area. So checking out a lot of Lewis and Clark stuff today, because this is where they ended their expedition, as TJ mentioned earlier. So that's pretty neat to see this area, and yeah, it's just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
out that the International Kite Festival is happening this week in Long Beach, Washington. So we decided to drive down to the beach to check it out.